Hello guys, welcome back again to another exciting episode in our CorelDraw design series. In this series, I'll be showing you how to design this flyer in CorelDraw. So if you don't mind, let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I need to do is I'll click on File and click on New, like we've done in the past. So what I'll just do here is I'll just put in the name here, social media flyer, just like this. And my primary color stays as RGB, my width stays at 5 and height 5, resolution stays at 300, and I click OK, just like this. And next thing I'll do is I'll come over to where I have the rectangle, double click on it to create a replicate of the rectangle we have already. I'll just give this white by selecting the white color, and I'll right click here to remove the outline. As you can see, it has an outline, so I'm just going to remove the outline, and function F4 or F4 on your keyboard to put to page, right? So the next thing I want to do is, I'll use the base color that I use for this design. So just come over here and use this blue color that I used. I might still change this later on. It is also subject to change, right? So just come here and choose this blue color. The color code is 000066. So I'll just go over and type what I need to type, right? And that is what I used. So I'm just going to type thank God, right? I'm going to change it to the font that I use. You can get the font and every other thing in the description of this video. You have the link there, right? So I'm just going to use this, select my shape tool. I'm going to move this closer like this, and when I do that, I'm just going to go to objects and I'm going to go to break thank God apart, right? So while I do that, I'm just going to highlight, go back to my speed tool, highlight the two of them like this, and I'm going to click on this white color. Having done that, I'm just going to make this bigger like this, and I'm going to make this big, I think this way. Function F4 for full screen. I'm just going to make this bigger again, just like this. And one thing again, I think I want to make this blue a little bit darker because later on I might be adding some elements to it. So I'm going to come here, double click on this pen bucket, and when this comes out, I'm going to click on color viewers, and I'm just going to move this slider downward like this. You can see the change in the color. This is the before and this is after, right? So if for instance you want to revert to your former color, you can just press this arrow, it takes you back to your former color, right? But then I need this color to change, so I'm just going to come down here and use a darker shade of that color, which is this one, right? So the color code for this is 0E0E36, right? So I'm just going to select this, move this in place. I'm going to duplicate this first one. This is the tank. Ctrl C, Ctrl V. I'm going to move it downwards like this. Double click on it and Ctrl A to select everything. I'm going to retype. So it's just going to be thank God it's Friday. Yeah, it's Friday. So I'm just going to make this smaller like this, and somewhere here I'm going to duplicate this one. That's the letters for the God, and Ctrl C, Ctrl V. And I'm just going to bring this down. So I'm just going to write, I'm just going to type in TGIF, right? What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to make this bigger like this. So with this done, I'm just going to select highlight with the selection tool. I'm going to highlight all of them, and I'm just going to press C on my keyboard to centralize everything. As you can see, everything is in the middle, nothing is out, everything just centered in the middle, right? So having done this, I'm just going to move this upwards slightly, just like this, and perhaps make it smaller just a bit, like this. Okay, now so the next thing I want to do is I'll go over to my resource file and I'll bring in my next element, which is this guy here. So I'm basically going to drag and drop just like this. If you cannot drag and drop, maybe because you're using Windows 11, you can also come here, click on file and click on import and navigate to where you have your resource file. That should be in your downloads files or your desktop, right? So I haven't brought this in. What I want to do is, as you can see now, the edges are very solid. I need to fade them out. So what I need to do is go over to my transparency tool, select it, hold down shift, and I'm just going to drag down like this to blend it. So it's going from white to black, just like this, right? So I haven't done this. I'm going to move this out of the way. With this thing selected, I'm going to right click and select power clip. When this arrow comes out, this arrow here, I'm just going to click on this rectangle and voila, it stays inside. But we have a problem, it's not positioned well. So what we need to do is double click on the rectangle and just drag up like this, up until you have it at this point, right? So having done this, I'm just going to click finish, and that should be all for that now, right? So next thing I want to do is also bring in my next composition, which is the road that I used. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to head over to my resource file, right? Go to my resource file, and this is the next image I'm going to be using. So I'm just going to drag and drop, right? So with this whole thing here now, what I'm going to be making use of is just this section of this image. I don't want the whole part of this. So what I'm going to do basically is I'm going to go over to my shape tool and I'm just going to draw a marquee around these 2 points. Hold down the shift and I'm going to bring them down like this. Make sure it's moving straight and up onto this point here, right? So this is what I'm just going to be using, right? So as you can see now, it's not really balanced. What I have here, I'm having a bluish feel here and with the background itself, and here I'm having something that looks like a yellow color, orange tan in between. So I want to balance things off. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to effect. Under effect, I'm going to go to adjustment. Under adjustment, I'm going to go to color balance. So under color balance, I'm just going to reset everything I have here. I don't want to use these values, so I'm going to reset all of this, and I'm going to just increase the level of blue that I have here up onto this point, just like this, right? So having done this, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put it inside of this rectangle like I've done with the rest. So what I will do is I'm just going to cut it, double click on this rectangle, and I'm going to paste it inside here like this. So with this done, I just want to get rid of this part that I have here. So what do? I'm just going to increase the size like this until those parts are not visible enough, right? So I'm just going to make this bigger, right, and move this up onto this point here. I'm just going to make sure this midpoint is sitting nicely in the middle. So I'm going to increase this, hold down shift, I'm holding down shift, and I'm increasing from all sides like this, right? So having done that, I'm going to click on what? Finish. Good. I might have to bring this down a little bit like this and click on finish, right? So having done this, you can see the difference now, right? The next thing I want to do is I want to bring in the image that I used. So I'm going to go over to my resource file. I'm just going to drag in the image of this model that I used. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag and drop inside here like this. Hold down shift, increase from the edge like this until you get something like this. I'm just going to make it a little bit smaller, and I think I am okay with it the way I have it here. Just gonna move it aside a little bit, and I think I'm good with it at the position that I have here currently, right? So what I want to do is I'll make a duplicate copy of this image, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to flip it upside down like this by clicking this, make a duplicate copy like this, and click on this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this, I'm going to drag it under like this up until this point, as you can see now. So it creates something like this is what they call a mirror effect, right? But I'm going to make sure this is up, so I'm going to select this and press shift page up. As you can see now, this part is on top of what we have here, right? So with this done, I'm just going to make some few adjustments to this, but first I'm going to select this mirrored part, which is this one here, and I'm going to go to bitmap, I'm going to go to convert to bitmap, and I'm going to press OK. So I'm just going to do that twice, convert to bitmap and press OK like this. So with this done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to my transparency tool, select it, and I'm just going to drag from this part here to this part. As you can see now, I've successfully blurred out all those regions. So I'll drag this up, and I'm just going to move this, probably let me make this start here, and I'll take this up just a little bit like this. So this one starts here, let me take this one up a little bit furthermore and move this down a bit, I think, yes. So like this, I'm okay with this. So what I need to do with this particular image, because I can't leave it outside here, right? I'll just Ctrl X, double click on the rectangle, and I'm just going to dump it inside here, Ctrl V to paste it, right? So when I'm done, I'll just click on finish. Okay, now it's time to bring in some other elements for this design. But before I do that, I just want to finish the typing phase of this design. So what I want to do is, like I did in the initial design, I'm just going to come here from this part, I'm just going to drag this rectangle here like this. What I'm going to do with this is I'm going to be sampling color from the sky. I think I'm going to use the sky. So go over to your eyedropper to sample a part from the sky here, right? This part here. I'm just going to apply the color here. I'm going to move the outline like this. I'm going to go back to my pick tool, and I'm just going to reduce the size just like this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to my transparency tool with this one still selected. I'm just going to drag from this part here to this part, so I create this effect with it, right? So with this done, I'm just going to go over to my pick tool, I'm going over to my bitmap, convert to bitmap, and resolution 300. This everything stays the same here, and I click OK. So I'm going to repeat the same process again. Go over to my transparency tool, and I'm just going to drag from white to black. Don't take it outside here like this, make sure it ends somewhere here, right? So I'm just going to shift this in a little bit just like this, and this is how I created that edge for text, right? So with this done, I want to make sure it's behind this image. So I'll select the image and press Ctrl shift page up just like this. So everything you have here is just behind what you have at this point. So I'll just go in there and type what I need to type. Okay, so there you have it. I have my text seated in neatly and good to go too. I'm just going to increase the size a little bit, just like this. Okay, so the next thing I need to do is I'm just going to create I'm just going to bring in some other elements that I used, right? So with this, I'm just going to go over to my resource file and my folder, and I'm just going to bring this flower that I have here, the tropic jungles clip art image. I'm just going to drag and I'm going to put it inside here like this. So with this selected, I'm just going to duplicate this, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. I'm just going to make 3 duplicates, Ctrl C and Ctrl V. I'm going to make another one and put it here. So with this one here, I'm just going to make it big, and basically I'm just going to Ctrl X, double click on the rectangle and paste it inside here like this. So with this one selected, I'm just going to have something like this. I'm not going to work on making it perfect. I'm just going to have it, we can work towards achieving perfection with yours, but I'm just going to make mine like this, and I'm just going to have it here. I think I need more of it, so I'm just going to have it there. When you're done, click finish. The next one I'm going to be putting is somewhere along this line here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to drag this and place it here, make this big, and I want this part of it alone to appear in the design. So what I'm going to do is, since I have it positioned here, Ctrl X, double click on the rectangle, Ctrl V to paste it inside here like this, right? So having done that, the last one I'll be working with is this one, right? So with this one, I would click on it to bring out the rotate and the transform buttons. I would turn this upwards like this so that it's facing this position, and I'll rotate it furthermore just like this. With this one, I'll just make it bigger like this, and with this done, I'm just going to still make it bigger. What I want to do with this is, since I have my reflection of light here, I have my reflection of light here too. These areas are still going to be bright, just like the leaves are bright, but this part is going to be dark. So how do I make sure that this effect is seen on the leaf too? So what I'll do is, with the leaf selected, this leaf, I'll press Ctrl B, and Ctrl B is for brightness, contrast and intensity. As you can see, if you have any figures attached to it, what you can do when you open this up is click on reset, right? So with this one now, what I'm working with here is just the brightness. So I'll just bring the brightness down here like this, not too much. I think somewhere along I think somewhere here is cool. So I'll just set it manually to, I can set it manually. I'll just use -14 and I'll press OK when I'm done. So having done this, what I'll just do is Ctrl X to cut, double click on the rectangle and Ctrl V to paste like this, right? And F4 so that we'll see what we're doing in real time. So the last thing I'm going to be doing here is, if not the last thing, I might want to make some few adjustments, is bringing in the last element I use for this design, which is the alarm clock that I used, which is this gold clock. So what I did was I dragged it inside here like this and I placed it here, right? So I'm just going to make this smaller because it seems too big, and I'm going to get rid of the extra edges, like these edges here. I'm just going to use the shape tool. I'm using the shape tool, so I'm just going to use the shape tool to drag inside like this. So I get rid of that part. I'm going to use this shape tool to move this in place. Make sure you don't drag inside too much that it takes off the image itself. So drag to a safe point. I'm going to drag this also to a safe point, just like this, right? So what I'm going to do with this is I'm still going to make this smaller, and With this, I'm just going to apply the blur effect. So how do I do this? Very simple. Before I apply the blur effect, I'm going to rotate it like this, and somewhere along this line, I think somewhere around here is good enough. So what I'm going to do with this is apply the blur effect, like I said. So I'm going to go over to effects, I'm going to go to blur, and I'm going to go to Gaussian blur. So of course, by default, if you have anything like you see now, the blur I have here is too much. What I need to do is click on reset. Right, good. So at reset, I have my 5.0 pixel blur. I'm just going to add a little bit more to it to give it the effect that I want to achieve. So I'm just going to keep increasing it gradually until I get to a point that I am comfortable with. Right, so I think I'm just going to leave it along the gauge of 9.9, and I'm going to press OK. So with this alarm clock, with the blur effect, I'm going to Ctrl X to cut it, and double click on the rectangle, and Ctrl V to paste it exactly at this point. With this done, I'm just going to click finish like this. Right, well, as you can see, we have a problem, but the problem is not one that we cannot solve. This image is actually on top of this alarm. We don't want it that way. We don't want that kind of effect. So what we want to do is select this image, right, and Ctrl X to cut it, double click on the rectangle, and Ctrl V to paste it here. While it's inside here like this, in this exact place, click on the alarm, which is this, and press Shift Page Up to bring it to the top of the composition itself. So when you are done with this, just click on what? Finish. And we have another problem again, the text and everything. So what I want to do is I would select everything, the text, and I'm just going to highlight everything like this, as you can see, right? Good. I'm going to group everything together, and I'm going to press Ctrl X to cut it, open the rectangle, paste it inside like this. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that it is behind everything. So what do? Hold down Control and page down until it is behind the image. As you can see now, it's behind the image, and everything is looking nice and good. I'm going to click on what? Finish, and function F4, so we see everything we're doing real time. I just want to make one slight correction. I'm going to move this upward slightly to this point, and make it bigger just a bit like this. And with that done, I think that's would be all for this design. Right, so one last thing I want to do is I want to extend the sky limit to this point. So I'm just going to click on the sky. This is the sky, right? What I want to do is I'm just going to drag a little bit downwards like this, and when I'm done, I'm clicking finish. And guys, that's how I created this flyer in CorelDraw. If you like this video and you want to see more, make sure you're subscribed to my channel and you turn on the post notifications so you don't miss any of the video I'll be dropping anytime from now. Without further ado, I'll see you in the next video.